What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Grady, and I talk about country music and whatever else I want to. Today, we're going to talk about the Grammys, and specifically the country Americana realm within the Grammys. And I want to say up front, thanks again for all the people that are subscribing to this channel. If you're the type of viewer that just kind of likes to put on these episodes and go fold your laundry and treat it more like a podcast, this is a good episode for you because I'm just going to be talking. I am pretty overwhelmed in life right now. This channel has really taken off, and I wasn't accounting for that, and so my work, my day job, has a lot more responsibility that was already kind of on the schedule, and then I've had to travel, and it's all good things. It's all good things, but I can't keep up with like such a regular pace, and I definitely can't make a huge produced video right now. But give me a month to kind of like recalibrate. I'm getting my work schedule kind of more normalized, but this is just going to be one where I am talking about the Grammys. So, yeah, let's go. So obviously, the big story of last night's Grammy Awards, if you watched them, they were freaking long. They were a long telecast, yet still somehow there was not time for everyone to give their speeches. But the big story of the night came out of the country music realm, and it was Kacey Musgraves. Kacey Musgraves and her album Golden Hour were just by far. Why am I wearing my coat? I just got back from work. I'm sorry. But it's very warm. They were the big story of the night. She won Album of the Year, all genre, for Golden Hour, and she won Best Solo Country Performance for Butterflies, Best Country Song for Space Cowboy, which I love that. I think that song totally deserves it. It's a Luke Laird co-write who I love. Him and Shane McAnally and her. I just think it's such a deserving, great song. And then she also won Country Album of the Year. So she got 4 Grammys. It's interesting because Golden Hour, I'm well documented as saying I think it's maybe not the best Kacey Musgraves record. I'm actually partial to the 2 that came before it. But it's definitely the vibiest and definitely has the most mainstream appeal. So I get why it kind of has crossed over. It's got this shimmery kind of aesthetic, and it feels in a way more open than some of her other records, which I think some people find a little bit inaccessible. So Golden Hour was the huge story, and she won all genre. That's so crazy. She won Album of the Year at the Grammys, and honestly, I think that's a great thing for country music. Kacey Musgraves sings with honesty and heart. I don't think she's everyone's cup of tea. Some people find her kind of maybe a little too low-key or boring, but man, I think her music's really honest, and I love pageant material, and I like Golden Hour a lot. I'm not mad at all that it has won. I think this is like a major net positive for country music, for songwriting, for winsomeness and honest storytelling, and I think it's all really cool. So I'm excited for Kacey. I've been rooting for Kacey for a long time. I think her songwriting style is incredible, and I'm just happy that this has happened for her. I was also really happy that she performed maybe my favorite song she's ever written, which is called Rainbow, a song really that is a gentle encouragement to chin up and to recognize the beauty of your fellow human on earth, and to just say, like, there's not a storm cloud over your head, there's a rainbow over your head because you shine. I think that is a really beautiful and gentle message. I love that she got to perform it. And I love that just so many people discovered Kacey Musgraves. I've been listening for, 5-6 years through her Christmas album. I mean, she's one of my A-list artists that I absolutely love. And yet, to so many people in the world, they discovered her for the first time. And so, for them, it's like Golden Hour is their album. And good for them. Whenever you discover an artist that's great, good for you. I love the Avett Brothers. And so, it's interesting to me that so many people found the Avett Brothers after I and Love and You, because you want to tell them, but Emotionalism is like the album, or The Gleam is the album, but they discover it when they discover it, and that's all cool. So I believe in Kacey. I believe in her talent. I think, whether or not you consider Golden Hour and especially country record or more of an adult contemporary record, and I talk a lot more about that in my review, I think this is a very good thing for country music and for the identity of country music. And I think the big narrative going forward this year is like, now she's kind of playing chicken with country radio. She has done this without the help of country radio, this monolithic beast of an entity. Country stations, as they say over and over, they make or break artists. You got to be on radio to be big in country. And Kacey has disproven that. she has become huge with the help of TV and this sort of glamorous image, and she's become a giant, massive superstar, the Grammy winner of Album of the Year, of the biggest award, without country radio. They played a little bit of Merry-Go-Round, but then since then, she hasn't really had a hit. And the first two singles from this record, Butterflies and Space Cowboy, they said, here, play them or don't. They truly didn't promote them to radio, but Rainbow now is getting an official push to radio. And it got a bunch of ads on stations today. And I think country radio programmers are having to say, how out of step with society are we willing to seem? Because if we don't play Kacey after this, we might look dumb. So I really hope that Rainbow becomes a hit. I think it's such a universal song. And I even said that in my review. I called it in my little review for Taste of Country, that Rainbow is the classic on this record. And I'm really just happy for Kacey. And I really hope radio drops their pride, plays the girl, and not just because she's a girl, but I hope that they're not avoiding her because she's a girl, and they are playing her because she's one of the artists of a generation. So, like I said, I think Pageant Material is a better record, but I'm really happy for Kacey to get attention because I believe in her artistry. And yeah, so that's like the big story of the night. The second biggest story of the night, I would say, was Brandi Carlile. She swept the Americana categories, and her performance of The Joke was, bar none, the performance of the night. I think that when she hit her high notes, Brandi's interesting because if you've listened to her for a while, and she's an incredible vocalist and such a good storyteller. I saw Trigger from Saving Country Music saying today that he feels like she's always sort of been, unnecessarily exiled from country music. And I get why he says that because she's such a great storyteller and she's so musical, and the harmonies on her records are just lush and beautiful. But she's now known as an Americana artist, and good for Americana for filling a void where this kind of no man's land between country and folk hasn't really been able to exist. It's given Brandi Carlile an incredible platform. So if you're cynical about the platform of Americana, get over yourself. I mean, it's cool that this kind of music can exist somewhere. But Brandi, she's got elements of country in her music for sure. And her performance of The Joke, while that song can I can bristle against it because it can feel a little bit too much like the elite NPR crowd favorite as this like smart rebuke of the Trump era. I think it's actually a really lovely song. And I think me just trying to resist it is just wanting to have a chip on my shoulder for some reason. But I love her new record, By the Way I Forgive You. I love the song Sugar Tooth on that record. That's like my very favorite. And I really do like The Joke, and it is the vocal moment of the record. And when she hit the high notes, and I don't know why it's even a surprise to me when Brandi Carlile hits the high notes anymore, it just goosebump inducing. And so that song has been the one that has skyrocketed up the charts. Shallow is still ahead of it because that's getting all like the movie season buzz as well. But I thought that her performance of The Joke was the performance of the night. That's why it's number 2 on iTunes. And so I'm happy for Brandi. I think like ever since I heard The Story by Brandi Carlile, one of the best songs I've ever heard, I've loved any chance she has to succeed. So I do want to mention, speaking of Shallow doing so well, it's also cool that A Star Is Born continues to clean up during this award season, because I really consider the A Star Is Born soundtrack to be a major win for country music. It was curated by Lucas Nelson, produced by Dave Cobb. It's got Jason Isbell writing on it. It's got Natalie Hemby, Lori McKenna, Hillary Lindsay, all these people that have touched this album and helped make it something, a soundtrack that has resonated deeply with people. I consider its success a pretty big win for country music because it's real storytellers from Nashville and from the genre that made the music in that movie connect with people so much. That said, Lady Gaga, quit whipping your head around when you don't need to be whipping it around. All it does is destroy the intimacy of the early part of that song. Okay, next thing I want to talk about is, I got papers here. The Dolly Tribute. Dolly Parton is MusiCare's Person of the Year, and they put together a huge tribute to her that involved everyone from Kacey Musgraves, again on the stage, with Katy Perry, Maren Morris, Miley Cyrus, Little Big Town, and I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. Maybe I am. But, I think the tribute was a little bit busy overall. I think there was like maybe one too many songs. It kind of didn't have anything with Kenny Rogers, which I was missing. I wanted to see him do Islands in the Stream or something, but I thought that generally it was really fun. Who doesn't love Dolly? She's like the ultimate point of country music that we can all unite around, because who doesn't just love this woman? Just a masterful storyteller who's still got it. She's got all the spunk and all the showmanship, and her voice is still there, and it's cool to see. And it was cool to see the community rally around her. I think everyone recognizes what a pure and good thing she is for music. I especially felt, I think Kacey can kind of be awkward on stage without her guitar, to be honest. I think there's still like a lack of a comfort level of standing there and kind of these sort of pop star get-ups, and I find it a little strange sometimes. I thought Katy way oversang just like her little part, and you totally lost the melody. So Katy Perry, I just thought overdid it. I think Miley, I love watching Miley and Dolly together. I love watching Miley do anything in country music. I really think Miley Cyrus is one of the most interesting people in music right now. I think her kind of determination to destroy Hannah Montana and go insane on these like incredibly skimpy outfits, shock value, licking everything, appearing naked, riding around big electronic phallic symbols, for lack of a better term. She's past that phase, and watching her leave it and go back to being a kind of more down-to-earth person, but also having to own, yeah, I did that for 3 years. I think it's cool to see where Miley's come, and I really, in a way, we look to artists to feel the ability to adventure. We look to them to take chances and make mistakes, and their life they're putting in the public eye for that reason, for us to consume. And so we're complicit in it in a way. And yeah, I don't know. I just think Miley is honest with how she's feeling. And I think she's an incredible interview. And I love watching her explore more of her kind of rock and country side as of late. I'm all for her making a country record, to be honest. And I really love watching her with Dolly Parton. A lot of people don't know that Dolly Parton is Miley Cyrus's godmother. So they have like an actual, real life relationship. And I've really respected over the years, even as Miley kind of went nuts, that Dolly always has spoken highly of her. She's always just been like, Miley's finding her way, and Miley is such a talented girl, and I think everyone wants to be independent, and I think Miley is just a special little girl. She'll just say stuff like that, and there's been millions of opportunities for her to say something snide and get pat on the back by the press, and Dolly's never taken that bait. And so when I see them up there together and I see Dolly's support, I really do find it in a kind of meta way really moving. And I love watching how she cared for her. And I feel like Dolly puts her words where her actions are, because on that song, Red Shoes, that she sang with Little Big Town, she said something along the line of, I believe every child needs like love and support. I believe that every child needs to feel a sense of pride, someone to love and guide and see them through. And I think she's done that for Miley. She's done that for Miley in a really real way, and I think it's just beautiful. So I love that. I thought Little Big Town sounded really good. I thought the little trio with Maren Morris was good. I like that they ended on 9 to 5. I love Dolly. There's nothing bad to say about her. As far as other awards in the country category, the other big interesting story, to me at least, was that Dan and Shay won Best Country Duo or Group Performance over Meant to Be. This was colored in a really interesting way. Obviously, I don't think Tequila is the best song ever. I thought their performance of it was fine. I mean, that guy can sing, but I didn't like his giant yell on the last note of Tequila. I thought it was just excessive. And I think there are better songs on that record, but I was glad that Meant to Be didn't win, because I don't think that's a country song, and I think the way it became such a big country hit was just really because of Billboard's weird chart rules that allow airplay in genres that aren't country to be considered part of country music charting methodology. And so it kind of was this weird thing where now for forever that's going to be the record-breaking country song, and I don't really think it's representative of how long its run was in country music. I'm not saying it wasn't a big hit, but I do think there's like an interesting sort of other narrative that happened over the weekend, because Bebe Rexha, who is the singer of Meant to Be with Florida Georgia Line, she kind of went on like a big, she had a moment. in front of a bunch of industry people a couple nights before the Grammys, where she was singing her song at a showcase and people were talking over it, and she went on an expletive-laden rant and said, I've worked too hard for this. The song was #1 for 50 weeks, and essentially, listen, you're not listening to me, and everyone's talking, and it's a real tantrum. It's not a great look. People have been really hard on her for that. I totally get it. And look, like I said, I don't think that song is even a country song. I don't think it should be nominated in the country category. But at the same time, I'm just adding in my little 2 cents here, which is the country pile-on onto her and like attempt to sort of bastardize her in a way. I just don't want to. I don't want to. I think there's some more room for forgiveness than we're really allowing in here. I think she had a real moment, and I think she tweeted today that she said, everyone kept telling me how many records Meant to Be is broken and how it deserved an award, but we've lost the CMA, Billboard, VMAs, Grammy, zilch. And I thought of what Drake said last night. You've already won if you have people singing your songs word for word. I love that she tweeted that. And I actually said, I think this is the right take. I tweeted, I quoted it and tweeted that. I think this is a good take. My favorite part of the Grammys last night that wasn't like a musical moment was Drake's speech. I really loved when Drake said that we're an opinion-based industry. But you got to know that if you have working class people coming out here and paying money and singing your songs, you've already won. And just a reminder to artists to keep the narrative straight of what are you really working for here. It shouldn't be for this Grammy. It shouldn't be for assholes like me on YouTube to be like singing your praises. It feels weird to say that because hello, this is like my hobby. I like talking about artists, but I always want them to care more about the fan experience than the industry professionals. And so my hope for Bebe Rexha and my attempt to just add a little bit of grace into this situation is that maybe that moment of having all these industry professionals ignore you and maybe kind of freaking out about it, and that moment sort of going viral in a bad way, and maybe not winning the Grammy and then hearing Drake's speech, I kind of hope that it is something that brings some clarity into like a reminder of like what we're making the music for. And maybe it's a moment that someone can break out of maybe she can break out of a mindset of like, this song was a huge hit, I deserve affirmation for it, and just recognize I had a huge hit, a lot of people like it. That's probably not easy to realize, and I'm probably not the person anyone wants affirmation from, but I do hope that she can feel that way. I am glad Meant to Be didn't win that category, and I don't want it really remembered as a country song. But at the same time, I think the country community we can take a seat and just say, she had a moment. She's human. She had a little bit of a tantrum. You can forgive her for that. I think it's agnostic from the genre discussion. I think they're two totally different discussions, and I'm just saying, I think a lot of people are annoyed Meant to Be was nominated and considered a country song. I'm in there, and they're taking this kind of tantrum that she had and conflating them into one issue as if she deserves bad to her personally. And I just think that's a little messed up. So that was the last point I kind of wanted to make. Overall, I thought the show was cool. I mean, it's a cool moment for country music. It's cool to see pageant material wishful thinking. It's cool to see Golden Hour as the #1 album on iTunes this morning. It's cool to see country kind of have that big moment. And I think it's going to make a lot of people listen in a new way and say, wow, maybe there's more to country music than I realized. And if they need a stepping stone of a kind of poppier, shimmery record like Golden Hour to do that, that can still be a net positive for us. So, cool night, and happy for Kacey, happy for Dolly, happy for Brandi, and now let's see what happens from here. Does everything go back to normal, or do we just got to really root for Rainbow to actually become a hit now? Let me know what your guys' thoughts are. I'm going to end this little experimental video, do my best not to edit it, except in that one part with Dolly. And I hope you guys enjoy this. Let me know. I'm going to do my best to be I have so much stuff planned, and I don't have time, guys. I'm just overwhelmed. There's too much on my plate, and I want to do everything well. And I know you guys understand that, but thank you for subscribing to this channel. It's mind-boggling how much it's growing. You're changing my life. It's changing fast. And thank you. Thank you. So peace out. Goodbye. Subscribe. Whatever. And I will see you soon. Bye, y'all.